I originally had another video planned for this week, but I just could not get this film out of my head. It of course has nothing to do with the fact that I cannot stick to a content schedule to save my life. It has nothing to do with that, I promise. After my first watch, I just couldn't shake this feeling, a feeling of discomfort and disgust. And after my second watch, it was almost like you feel a little complacent while watching the plot unfold. It was a very weird experience. I think that's exactly the feeling the director Todd Solondz wanted the viewer to have after watching his film. But the one that I wanted to focus on today is his 1998 outing, Happiness. A film so uncomfortable that nobody wanted to touch it. Film festivals avoided it like the plague, and no theaters would agree to screen it after it was slapped with an NC-17 rating. Despite its NC-17 rating, critically the film was praised and audiences rated highly. It's gained a cult following over the years, and it currently holds a 7.7 out of 10 on Rotten Tomatoes. So if this movie is so well received, what made the film industry want to keep its distance? I'll give you a hint. It has everything to do with the portrayal of this character right here. But before we get into that, hello, my name is Keishay, aka Shay, aka Shake and Bake, and welcome back to my channel. Again, before we get into this breakdown, Happiness is rated NC-17, so trigger warning for all of the things listed here. And if any of these things bother you, please click off the video. Your mental health is way more important than any view that I could ever get. But if you are interested in knowing what this film is about, or even just going to watch it on your own, stick around and don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. We recently hit 100 subs and we're trying to keep the channel growing, so thank you for all your support. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into the breakdown. Spoiler-free synopsis for those of you who still haven't decided whether or not you want to continue with the video. Happiness 1998 is a dark comedy that details intertwining stories that revolve around the Jordan family, mainly the three Jordan sisters and their relationship with the men in their lives. If that seems interesting to you, go ahead, go watch that, but obviously come back to the video. The movie begins with the youngest sister, Joy, as she is on a date with an old coworker she began a romantic relationship with named Andy. You can tell from the body language that this date isn't going well, and that's because Joy here just informed Andy that she no longer thinks they should be in a relationship. Andy is a bit blindsided by this news, but he takes it kind of well and gives her a gift that he brought her anyway. It's an engraved gold-plated ashtray with her name on it. But actually, he did not take the breakup well. He gave her the gift to show her what she'll be missing.
Because this is for the girl who loves me. The girl who cares about me for who I am. Because I'm champagne. And you're until the day you die. You, not me, will always be
And this interaction is just a little taste of the kind of luck that Joy has or has had throughout her life. It's actually quite, sad when you think about it. Next, we meet Alan. Child. Alan here is in therapy explaining his disturbing fantasies that he has about a neighbor in his apartment building.
Then I want to flip her over and pump her even more.
You some freaky ass nigga!
He explains that he's too afraid to talk to her because he knows that she won't find him attractive, and he also thinks that he's just too boring for anybody to be interested in him. And in this session, we also meet a man named Bill Maplewood. Guys, no wonder Alan is the way that he is, because Bill isn't even paying attention to his client in their session. Bill is wandering off thinking about all of the things that he needs to pick up from the store, and he's dozing off as Alan is talking about how boring he is, which is very messed up, but it is hilarious. And I'm not going to say too much about Bill because we are definitely going to get into Bill and the weird shit that he has going on. Anyways, after the session, we learned that Alan's neighbor is Helen. Helen is a baddie, my personal favorite. Because she's insane, but she is also the second Jordan sister, and she's also the middle sister out of the three. Alan's anxiety is on full display here, barely being able to muster up the courage to ask Helen how she's doing as they wait on the elevator, but he does get a few words out, basically, asking her how's it going, so that's progress, I guess. And when they get in the elevator, you can tell that Helen is literally dying to get away from him. And it's so awkward. After this, we get to see what Alan does in his spare time. He basically treats the phone book, because this is 1998, he treats the phone book like it's Omegle and randomly calls numbers, hoping that women will pick up so that he can verbally assault them and also diddle himself while he's on the phone. Yeah. Okay, I really just cannot. When I watched this for the first time, I literally had to get up and leave. Like his therapy session was already a bit much, but I had to get up and walk away. Like we meet back up with Joy. And she's at Trisha's house, the oldest and final sister that we meet for the story. Joy is crying about how overworked she is, but is also crying because Andy's reaction to their breakup absolutely hurt her feelings. Joy is very sensitive, a bit naive. You know, we'll learn more about that as the story goes on. And through the tears, Joy insists that she's happy. But first, we need to talk about Trish. Trish is shady. Okay, shady boots and very messy. She loves to gossip. Everything that she says has this air of condescension. Like it's so disingenuous. Like she's saying something nice, but not really. Like it's so backhanded. And she obviously thinks that she's better than both of her sisters because she's the only one that is married with children. But we will see that her life and her family isn't all that it is cracked up to be. Through this conversation with Trish, though, we do get to know a little bit more about Joy. Joy is sort of the black sheep of the family. She's a 30-year-old struggling musician who still lives at their parents' home. Trish takes this time to tell Joy that the rest of the family didn't really think she'd add up to much. They thought that she'd end up a lonely brokey.
I always thought that you would never amount to much, that you would end up alone, without a career or anything.
It's so up what she's saying, but I'm literally laughing right now. But it's just the delivery of how she says it. It really did get a chuckle out of me. I'm so sorry. But it also did hit a little close to home because I'm the artist in my family. So I was like, I wonder what people are saying behind my back. Okay. After that interaction, we skip to Bill in a therapy session of his own, where he's talking about a dream that he has where he commits a mass shooting in a park. One thing that I noticed while watching is that in the park, there are nothing but couples. He's like killing couples in the park, but he notices that in his dream, he kills everybody but himself. He doesn't kill himself and he doesn't know why. So that's just something to keep in mind. In this therapy session, he also talks about how his love life with his wife is pretty much non-existent. But shortly after, we learn why when he heads into a convenience store and picks up a magazine with a young boy on the cover. And he does the same thing that Alan does when he's prank calling all of those women. Yes, Bill Maplewood is a file. Lord. And because of his inclusion into the story, we get some of the most uncomfortable scenes I've ever seen in my life. It's so weird. Oh my God. Oh yeah, and Bill is also Trisha's husband. Mind you, they have 3 children, 2 little boys and a baby girl. Disgusting. This is the storyline that gave this film its NC-17 rating. I'll explain more at the end of the breakdown, but as we go on, you will catch on as to why it was so controversial at the time. We see Bill interacting with one of his sons, Billy, and Bill has a series of conversations with Billy over the course of the film. Billy is going through puberty, so like all of us, he has a lot of questions. On the surface, Bill does answer the questions honestly, and in this conversation, let's just say Billy is explaining to his father that he feels insecure because a lot of the other boys can do something that he cannot do yet. And Bill tells him that it's okay, and he reassures him that it will happen, which is like, it's like on the surface, this is an open and frank conversation between a father and his son. But then Bill offers to show him how he could make it happen. And you remember that Bill is a predator. Bill is not being honest with his son in order to help him. He is being honest with his son so he can lure him into a sense of safety and security with his father so that Bill can have the opportunity to victimize his son and assault him, which is so up. Okay, it's messed up. Lastly, we're introduced to the parents of the Jordan family, Mona and Lenny. Mona is depressed because she thinks that Lenny wants a divorce, but Lenny doesn't want a divorce. He said he just wants to be alone. Mona is not taking this well because they have been together for 40 years.
I just wish you had done this 20 years ago. Now I'll have to get another facelift.
So Mona keeps insisting that there is somebody else, but Lenny tells her straight up, there is no one. There's no one else. He just wants to be alone. Joy calls Helen to ask her if she wants to come and have dinner with her, but Helen couldn't be bothered because she's too busy yapping about how everybody just loves her and everybody wants a piece of her and da-da-da-da. Helen gets another call and hangs up on Joy. And then right after that, Joy gets another call on the phone and she thinks it's a guy named Damien, but it is actually Alan being a perv. Any of the scenes with pretty much anybody in this movie, but the scenes with Alan are so like, oh, Alan and Bill, Lord, I cannot deal with that. We pick up with Alan after he finishes, and an awkward neighbor of his, Christina, comes and tells him that the night doorman was murdered and his was cut off. And then right after that, she asks him if he wants to go to a playoffs game. Now, she weirdly has a crush on Alan, you know, which is fine. But she used the murder of the night doorman as an excuse to come and talk to him. Red flag. Hello, red flag. Because she obviously wasn't sad that the night doorman was dead. She was like, yeah, he died. Anyway, you want to go to the playoffs? Like, please. We finally get to hear some of Joy's music, and she's singing a song about the theme of this movie. Happiness.
Happiness, where are you? I've searched so long for you.
In the lyrics, she questions why she can't seem to find happiness, as if it's actively evading her. Right after this, she gets a call from a lieutenant at the police department who informs her that Andy decided to take a bunch of pills and kill himself, and she was listed as the reason in his suicide note. Joy cannot catch a break throughout this whole movie. She cannot catch a break. She gets to work the next day and is obviously very distraught by the news, and one of her coworkers, who is played by Molly Shannon, who is hilarious, asks her what's wrong, and Joy tells her that Andy killed himself, and Molly and the other coworkers don't even remember who Andy is. And they're like all trying to come up with details, trying to figure out who this man is. And they have no idea. They keep getting all of the details wrong. And it just kind of becomes white noise in the background. Mind you, this man worked literally a couple cubicles away from them. And they have no idea who this man is.
To say it, I hope I don't sound ridiculous. I don't know who this man is. I mean, he could be walking down the street. I wouldn't know a thing. Sorry to this man.
And Joy is just sitting there kind of catatonic until she gets another call. She gets a call and it's Andy's mom, who has this to say.
This is Andy's mother. I hope you f***ing rot in hell.
Helen and Trish have lunch at a restaurant. Mind you, Joy just asked Helen to come and have dinner with her, but she was too busy. But she absolutely made time for Trish. I think it's the same restaurant that Andy and Joy were at the beginning of the movie. I'm not sure though, but it kind of looks like it. At this lunch, you can tell that they do not with Joy, but even within their own interpersonal relationship, in the conversation that they're having this weird competition where they're trying to one-up each other and say, oh no, your life is better. No, your life is better. And passive aggressively kind of saying that they're jealous of each other's lives while also like talking down to them.
Trish, I wish I had your life. Husband, kids, carpool.
Well, I may have it all.
But Helen talks about how she's jealous of Trisha's life because Trish pretty much has everything. And Helen feels like she has everything, but it's so hollow and everybody around her is so shallow. She doesn't think that the people in her life are being honest with her. And that is the thing that Helen is chasing throughout this film. She's chasing authenticity. One thing that they can agree on, though, is that Joy doesn't have anything. We also learn from Helen that after that whole debacle at her job and with Andy, Joy decided that she wanted to quit that job because she wanted to change her life and help the less fortunate. So she decided to work as an educator for foreign refugees. The thing is that she decided she was going to work there during a worker strike where the previous workers at this refugee education center were not getting good benefits. So they're actively outside striking as she's walking into the building, breaking their picket line, becoming a scab. The workers outside definitely let her know how they felt about her breaking the picket lines. And the students did not receive her well either. But when the students are, giving Joy a hard time, a Russian student named Vlad speaks up in her defense. Joy insists that she's not a scab, and she just repeats something that she heard another worker in the building say. She's not a scab, she's a strike breaker, which is not any better, but sure. Back with Bill, he has his sights set on a young boy who is a part of his son's Little League baseball team. Johnny. Bill and the baseball coach Joe have a conversation while their sons are playing the arcade games in the pizza parlor or the restaurant. And Joe here thinks that his son is gay. He thinks Johnny is gay, but of course he doesn't say that he thinks Johnny's gay. He uses a slur and calls the young boy out of his name. He is so distraught by this information, or just kind of annoyed at the fact that his son is gay, that he even suggests hiring a prostitute to teach him things, which in my opinion, that doesn't make him any better than Bill. You're going to your son. You're gonna hire somebody to assault your son to make sure that he's not gay. Even Bill, oddly enough, has to jump in and be like, he's only 11, but we know that's Bill doesn't give a about that. The boys ask if they can have a sleepover at Bill's house, and sadly Joe agrees. And this is when we probably get one of the most disturbing scenes in this film. At the sleepover, Bill is making the family ice cream, and as he's making the family ice cream, he drugs the chocolate syrup that he puts on the ice cream. The problem here is that, or maybe this is a plus in my opinion, Johnny does not eat chocolate fudge. Bill panics and pesters the boy to see if he wants anything else, and Johnny says that he likes tuna, or tuna salad. So Bill decides that he's going to make him a tuna sandwich. He drugs the tuna sandwich, and after the family is knocked out from the drugs, Johnny sadly eats the sandwich, and you can guess what happens after. They don't show anything, which I am very appreciative of. This is why I normally avoid disturbing movies, because they do too much with that, but they don't show anything, but it's still unnerving because of the implications, and it's also just all too normal. Like, it very much gives that Bill has done this before to the rest of his family. And the thing that also makes it even more creepy and weird is that it's not portrayed in some nefarious way. He doesn't get any weird lighting or creepy music playing. It's normal. I hate to use that word, but the way that it's portrayed, this is a normal occurrence that Bill does. And I feel like the thing that solidifies that is that we learn the next morning that after he had already assaulted Johnny, that he also assaulted his wife Trish.
It's weird. I feel as if Bill, did we? Did you?
Like, did I mention that this is a dark comedy? Like, it's supposed to be funny. There are parts of it that is funny, but this is absolutely not. Bill is a sick bitch. Okay. The next morning, Johnny isn't feeling well, obviously, because of the drugs and whatever else Bill did to him. So Bill takes Johnny home, takes him back to his parents. Later that night, Bill has another weird conversation with Billy about, how do I say, sizes? Okay. And also plus the same thing that they were talking about before. Billy mentions a boy named Ronald, and that will become important later. So, just keep Ronald in mind for later. Mona is out looking for an apartment for herself, but she can't even pull herself together because of the separation, and she's very triggered by the word divorce. Meanwhile, Lenny is, kind of just living his life. He's chilling, he's playing golf, but he goes to the doctor after he sees a guy on the golf course pass out, and that urged him to go check on his health. His doctor tells him that he is in perfect shape. He just needs to stay away from the salt, but he's in good shape. So he goes back to chill by the pool, and he is approached by Diane, who was mentioned earlier as a possible mistress, when Lenny reassured his wife that there was no one else. After this, Diane is on her little jog. You gotta keep yourself together. And Mona contemplates running Diane over with her car. That did kind of make me laugh, because I was hoping that she hit her. I don't know, maybe that's fucked up at me, but I was really hoping that she ran her over, because that would have got a pop out of me. Helen is back in her apartment having a mental breakdown about her work.
Oh, I'm no good. No good. Nothing.
Helen feels shallow and superficial because her work is about being raped, but she's personally never been raped. So it's not funny. So her talking about this stuff in her work makes her feel like a fraud. And she oddly wishes that she were assaulted because she thinks it would make her work feel more authentic. Like, girl, what the fuck? The whole family is insane, but like this type of, like, what is wrong with her? While she's in her apartment wallowing, she gets a phone call. And can you guess who the phone call is from? If you guessed Alan, you are correct.
I know who you are, and you are nothing. You think you are something, but you are nothing. And I'm gonna you so bad, you're gonna be out of your ears.
He anonymously calls her and tells her basically that he will do all of the stuff that she's literally in her bed begging for, like what she wants to happen. And he hangs up because he's doing this at work, mind you. He hangs up and she star 69's his number so she can call him back and tells him, I want you to do it. And for all of the people, for all of the young people who don't know, back in the day, before there was caller ID, you could hit the star symbol in 69 to call a number back. And you could hit the star symbol in 67 if you wanted to conceal your caller ID. It was commonly used for prank calls and spam calls or bill collectors, so people would just pick up because they don't know who it is. But yeah, so that's what that is. Alan doesn't take her up on her offer because he is afraid and very socially awkward and all of the things that he mentioned in his therapy session. So he drinks his night away while reading dirty magazines until his doorbell rings again, and it is Christina once again. Once he answers the door, he kind of passes out, so Christina helps him into his bed and gets a little bit too comfortable. Red flag again. Alan wakes up and vomits and yells at her to get out of his apartment because, yeah, why the are you laying in my bed while I'm drunk? Girl, get the out. Everybody is so weird in this movie. The next day, Joy is crying while walking down the street, and her student Vlad from earlier pulls up on her in his cab, and he insists on taking her home. So I know that that's not necessarily too far away, but it is kind of far, right? He takes her home, but he definitely didn't do it out of the kindness of his heart because no one in this movie does anything out of the kindness of their heart. Maybe Joy, but He asks her if she's a lesbian. She says no. They kiss and she invites him in. The thing with Joy is that she is so starved for validation that she sleeps with this man, completely ignoring the fact that he told her that when he lived back in Russia, he was a thief. Okay, like he was an active thief, and also he is her student. So conflict of interest there, girl. You're not doing too good. But what he forgot to mention is that he has a girlfriend at home who, while Joy was at work the next day, came up there and put hands to her and spit in her face for sleeping with her man. Ooh, yikes. We catch back up with poor Johnny, and he notices that he has blood in his BM, and his parents take him to the hospital. The police question him, and Johnny obviously doesn't know what happened to him. He was drugged and passed out, so he doesn't know what happened to him. And Joe is so angry about what happened that he angrily, blurts out the obvious and, makes it very awkward for the police who are trying to help and his wife and everybody. It was just a really bad, unfortunate scene. Back at the Maplewood home, it's PTA night, and the babysitter just canceled last minute, so Bill has to go to the PTA meeting by himself while Trish stays home with the kids. I think their other son's name is Tommy. He had did something that annoyed Trish and she made him go to bed, and that left Bill and Billy there to chat over their dinner. Billy wants to know how old he needs to be left home alone, since Ronald, that young boy that I mentioned earlier, his parents let him stay home alone while they're on vacation. Bill tells him that at 13, he'll be okay as long as he still doesn't look 11. Now, I personally think that this conversation has a double meaning, knowing what we know about Bill. I think that Bill picked 13 because that is when Billy will be, going through puberty, and he will begin to look older, and he will no longer be interested in his son in that way because Bill likes prepubescent boys. So it's a weird conversation, but I do think that there was a double meaning there, and 13 was very specific to pick. But yeah, it is very uncomfortable. And after this, Bill uses the cover of going to the PTA meeting to find the address of Ronald so that he can go assault him too, after Billy, told him that Ronald is at home alone. Child. Bill gets home with this stupid look on his face, and he gets in bed with his wife, and he asks her if she'll love him no matter what. He knows that he will be caught soon, and he wants to know if she'll stick beside him no matter what he's done, no matter what she hears about him. He kind of uses the same excuse or the same thing that a lot of uses, that they're sick and they need help or whatever, but Trish is half asleep while he's having this conversation. So when he says that he's sick, she's like, oh, just go take a Tylenol. It's not funny, but yeah. Lenny winds up actually hooking up with Diane, but he stops himself. And Diane thinks that is because he feels guilty, but he says that he feels nothing. He doesn't feel guilt or happiness or anything. He's numb. He feels like he hasn't lived his life, and he wants to feel something. But honestly, I think that he wants to die. And I think that's why he went to the doctor, to see if there was any like terminal illness that could be like limiting his years on Earth. And also towards the end of the movie, he's like sprinkling a bunch of salt on his food after the doctor told him like, you'll be fine as long as you stay away from salt. So yeah, I just personally think that he just wants to die. Meanwhile, back with Helen and Alan, Helen has been waiting by her phone for Alan to call back. Once he calls back, she says that she wants to see him. Alan does not know how to handle this. He hangs up and unplugs his phone. Christina comes back to apologize for her behavior. She states that she's a little insecure about her looks and her weight. And Alan offers to take her out and they actually have a good time. That's until Christina tells Alan about what actually happened to the night doorman. So Christina says that she asked the night doorman to help her bring her groceries up. It was pretty late at night. So he helped her bring the groceries up. But when he got into her apartment, he refused to leave and assaulted her, and she killed him by snapping his neck. That would have been relatively okay, right? He assaulted her, she killed him, told the police. Cool. That's not what happened. After she killed him, she cut him up and put him into plastic bags so she could gradually, get rid of him. And most of his body is still in her freezer. I told y'all that lady was a red flag. Like, I told you she was a red flag. She also said that she's not a fan of sex. She is pretty much disgusted by sex. So shout out to the asexuals out there. We got some asexual representation. I don't know. I don't know if this is necessarily the best, but there we go. After the date, Alan plugs his phone back in to find that Helen has had him on auto redial all night. And that finally gives him the courage to reveal himself to Helen as the guy who called her. And he goes to Helen's apartment. Alan can't even get the words out. He's so anxious and awkward. Helen infers that it's him and she invites him in anyway, even though you can kind of see like the life drain out of her face and the light leave her eyes once she realizes that it was Alan this whole time. And they sit awkwardly on the couch and he slowly reaches towards her and Helen just is not with it. I guess she is too shallow after all. He's willing to give her everything that she wants, but in her words, he's not her type. Fair. After this, Alan just leaves and goes back to Christina's apartment and spends the night there. But he gets in her bed with all of his clothes on, including his shoes. And that was just not, that was not cutting it for me. Joy goes to Vlad's house to apologize to his girlfriend. And we see that Vlad is an abusive man. He asks Joy for money, $1,000 to be exact. And she agrees to give it to him. But after he returns her guitar and her CD player that he stole, obviously the man did say he was a thief. And once he gets the money, she leaves and he calls her a stupid American, which she's not making the best case for herself. So I can't really be mad at that. We're back at the dinner table with the Maplewoods and Billy is telling everybody that Ronald did not come to school. But Billy thinks that it's because he was afraid of the math test. And we all know the true reason why he did not come to school. They got on the topic of drugs because the math teacher was also out. There's a rumor going around that the math teacher is a drug addict. Trish says that if the teacher is on drugs, that she should be fired. And she also goes on to say that if any of her kids were to do drugs or overdose, she would disown them. After that, Joe calls the house, Johnny's dad, and threatens Bill.
Hey, Joe. What's up? How's Johnny doing?
You're a dead man.
Bill carries on the phone call as if Joe is still on the phone. Like everything is just perfectly fine after Joe had already hung up. And right after he hangs the phone up, the police are knocking at the door asking for him so they can ask him questions about Johnny Grosso. Bill tells Trish to take care of the kids. I honestly think that this is also a double meaning. Again, he knows that he will be caught soon. So he's like, take care of the kids while I talk to the police, but also you're going to have to take care of the kids because I'll be going to jail soon. This is the moment, Bill is so stupid. He already a dirty, nasty bastard, but he's so dumb because when he gets done talking to Trish, this dumb comes back and says the wrong little boy's name. He says Ronald Farber. He's like, hey, you guys said something about Ronald? And they're like, Ronald? We're here to talk about Johnny. Shot himself in the foot. Good riddance. The next morning, Trish is trying to get the boys on the bus for school and they miss the bus. So as soon as she turns around, there is a little message left on their home calling Bill a serial rapist. This next scene is so heartbreaking and haunting. This is the scene that stuck with me because it was so uncomfortable, but it was the little boy's performance was so like it hurt my heart. Bill has one last conversation with little Billy, and as always, Bill is extremely honest with his son, and Billy asks him what he did, and Bill frankly tells him what he did. And I'll just play a little bit of the conversation because I won't be repeating that.
Dad, did you with Johnny Grasso and Ronald Farber?
Yes.
What did you do?
Touched them.
What do you mean exactly, touched?
I fondled them.
What else?
I unzipped myself.
You mean masturbated?
No.
Then what? What do you mean?
I fucked them.
The part that really got me was when Billy asked Bill if he would do it to him, and this was Bill's response.
I off instead.
You just know that this little boy is going to grow up with a up sense of boundaries and relationships and a sense of life once he truly understands what his father did to those young boys and how something like that can impact a person's life. He already has a weird relationship with his father, but any of us hearing our father say that kind of stuff to us would us up, like, period. So it was really disgusting. It was really sad to see. And he even admits that he would do it again. That's so sad. That's so sad. But we're almost done with the film, so I'll get into how I, truly feel about all of this at the end. Trish obviously takes the kids and leaves Bill, and right after that we jump forward 6 months. This is the first time that we see the whole Jordan family together. Billy is outside spying on a woman sunbathing while the rest of the family is inside eating, and Helen is filling everybody in on Christina's murder.
So the police came and looked in her freezer and found baggies filled with the doorman's genitals.
Helen goes straight into trying to set Joy up with Alan. Helen is looking for everybody a partner, the mom and Trish and Lenny, but Lenny stops her and is like, I don't want anybody, please leave me alone. Joy suggests that Helen should write a poem to basically process the feelings that she has about hearing that one of her neighbors is a murderer. And Helen laughs in her face because that would be too authentic. Helen is fake. She doesn't talk about her actual experiences in her actual life. So everybody's just kind of back where they started. And as they're having this conversation, little Billy comes in and makes his announcement to the family, and the movie ends. Everybody in this film is chasing happiness in one way or another, but no matter how much they try to be happy, something always happens and puts them right back where they started. If you know Todd Solondz's films, you know that this is kind of his philosophy. Most of the characters in his movies don't grow, or should I say they don't have a happy ending. They normally don't ever achieve the thing that they were after or do the thing that they were trying to do. So I'll go, character by character. Mainly the three sisters, but character by character. Joy was trying to find happiness by finding a partner and a purpose in life, but every guy that she ran into was bad news, and every job that she wound up getting was unfulfilling. Helen was trying to find happiness through authenticity, but she's too shallow to be her true self, because if she were, she doesn't think that she would have all of the things that she has. Being superficial and fake has gotten her so far in life. What is being authentic going to get her? You know what I mean? So instead, she continues to surround herself with people that she doesn't trust or she doesn't even really care about or like. Trish tries to find happiness through her traditional family and values, but all of that is flipped on its head because of the actions of her husband and her own flawed sense of morality. Mona is trying to find happiness through independence, and Lenny is trying to find happiness in a lifestyle change, but in the end, they all wind up at the same dinner table, still as unhappy as they were before. The only person who was happy at the end was Billy, unfortunately, which you can't even call him happy because he kind of lost his dad and everything. But now let's discuss the elephant in the room, the portrayal of Bill Maplewood and why his inclusion in this film scared away so many Hollywood investors. Bill is a pedophile, no doubt. But normally, when there's a character as disgusting and as evil as he is, they are shot in a very particular way. And I kind of touched on that in the beginning of the video. They are normally portrayed as these creepy recluses that, you know, snatch kids off of the playground, and they're shot in a way that makes them look more unsettling. For an example, just look at any of those Ryan Murphy serial killer documentaries, really any movie where they have like a weird or serial killer. Bill isn't portrayed that way. He isn't shot that way. He is a well put together white suburban medical professional with a wife and children of his own. So in society's case, he's supposed to be the least expecting person to do such a terrible thing. But that's what makes him so scary, and that's what makes him so unsettling. If you know anything about abuse and abusers, you would know that a person is more likely to be abused by someone that they know, not just some random stranger off of the street, even though that still does happen and we don't ever want to negate that. It's normally a person that you know, a person that you're comfortable with, a mentor, a father figure, a family member, a cousin. It's normally someone that is close to you. And I think that Todd wasn't afraid to show what actual predators look like and how they actually operate. Not some dramatized caricature of a predator, but someone any of us could know. It's kind of like Ari Aster and The Strange Thing About the Johnsons. If you know, you know. But with his portrayal, the CEO of Universal wanted some of the stuff with Bill to be edited out. And because they couldn't, it would practically like ruin the film if they like edited out most of the parts with Bill. He blocked the distribution company from releasing it. I think October Films was the production company. And there was another, I forget the name of the distribution company, but they wound up distributing it independently. But I find like that so ironic because they are blocking fictional depictions of predators, but at the same time we're enabling actual predators like Harvey Weinstein for decades. Also on the Disturbing movie track, I mentioned this before as well. I am not normally a person who watches disturbing movies because most of them are just exploitative torture and I'm not a fan of that. I don't get down with that. Instead, I'll just watch like a Spooky Rice or a Mr. GG video about it and keep it pushing. But this one was not like that. Yes, the subject matter is dark, but it was genuinely a good movie with great acting performances all around and a few funny moments. I did chuckle throughout. I was chuckling throughout saying the that was going on in the movie. The late actor Philip Seymour Hoffman is great as usual with his portrayal of Alan. When he talks as Alan, he's almost grunting, like he barely moves his lips, and I thought that was a nice touch to his character because he struggles to speak, he struggles to talk and have conversations with anybody, so it just fit him very well, and you can feel his anxiety and you kind of feel bad for him as weird as he is. So I really did like Philip Seymour Hoffman's performance in this movie. Rest in peace to him. Helen, who, like I said before, is my personal favorite. She is played by Lara Flynn Boyle. I am not familiar with her other works. I did look her up on IMDb and she was in Twin Peaks and I did like Twin Peaks. But yeah, the stuff that she says is so outlandish and offensive, but I cannot help but laugh at her delivery. I think she's hilarious in this movie. And Molly Shannon will always get a laugh out of me, even though she was in the movie for not even a minute. Molly Shannon, if you ever seen The Superstar, she's a hoot. All of that to say, I actually did like this movie. Was it disturbing? Yes, but still a good movie nonetheless. Thank you guys for watching my video. I hope that you enjoyed the breakdown. I will be doing more of these as the year goes on. Let me know what other films that you would like to see. I am willing to put myself in a predicament of watching something that is disturbing just for you guys. If you have any recommendations, please leave those down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, we hit 100 subs. Let's get to 2, then 3, then 4, then just keep it pushing, keep it going up. If you are one of my friends and family members, I love you. Thank you all for the support and peace.